Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pilot Review Show. Here we're out here having fun. A lot of stuff has just been happening here with Star Trek Online. A lot to go over, a lot to discuss. So we'll get right into it, especially considering we missed last week. So I am SARoss. Timberwolf is not going to be here with us this evening. He's out enjoying the family and having fun with them. I'm trying to enjoy his time with his little girl. So we'll excuse him today. But joining me as well, we got Chris over here, our bug hunter.
Abner.
And TeacherKirby.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
So, like I said, there's a lot to go over, especially since we missed last week. We didn't get to really talk about it a whole lot, but I think we need to discuss it because of how much of a game changer it really, really is. And that is, of course, the Infinity Box.
Yes.
This
All
is
the glorious.
Wow.
This is such a game changer with this game with the prices. I mean, it has made every ship that used to be very expensive come down to a manageable amount again.
Yes, it's about time. The exchange bubble has burst.
Yes. And, you know,
Yeah.
here's the thing to remember. The boxes, this covers up until the Nakul box. So the next refresh at the Infinity Box, the next refresh that happens, we'll get the Nakul box, according to what we are understanding. And then the next box after that gets the current one, which is the Kelvin timeline box. So
Yes.
that's the anticipation. That's the expectation. Has that been confirmed? Anyone seen that? If that's been confirmed, if that's what's going to happen?
They did say that newer lock boxes would be added over time, but their phrasing was that it would take a while, and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, and a while
So-
could be each. Yeah, a while could end up being each refresh that occurs. I mean, remember in between each of the boxes, they have the old event where they brought all the lock boxes back. This just makes it easy for them, so they just got one set of boxes to do instead. And it's done things like it's made the leech. What's the leech within like 10, 20 million again?
I
Yeah.
think it was. I seen a few.
The
for
last I heard
15
about
earlier
15.
today.
How much?
Yep.
Yeah.
About 15 earlier today. I seen
Yeah.
a few of them.
So, so things like that's coming down. So it's becoming a more manageable. 15 million is still a lot for a leech, but let's compare that to like the Galore class ship that used to be
80 million.
yeah. It used to be what 450,
Yeah.
and then you got the
Before the box,
Yep.
and then some of the other ships to take in consideration. The Vomp Hero Dreadnought used to be what 750.
More than that. I
Yeah,
was seeing
more
them
than
go
that.
for as high as 850 and 900 million before the box released.
So, so everything that's in the Infinity Box, I mean, like I said, it's such a game changer because you get your pick of what version of that particular ship you want to get. So it's no longer it's a round drop, but it's no longer you get like a hope that you get the Vomth. You can if you get the ultra rare ship box, you get your Vomth. That's what you really
You can
want.
choose, right?
So that's one of the nice
And that's
things.
the thing too with the. That's the thing too with the console boxes.
Yes, the
You
consoles.
get the console box and you get to
Yep.
choose which console you want, and so that's why the price on the Leech has dropped
Exactly.
because it's no longer a gamble. Yeah.
The other things that we're seeing drop is like the space and ground traits. Those have gone down, but all of them, because they're so easy
And
to get a
yep.
hold of anymore now. Because you can now pick your stuff. The other thing that's kind of nice is the bridge officer manual training manuals, like Chemosite laced weaponry. Those of you who want a
Oh.
Chemosite that you're like, man, 500 million is way too freaking much. And yes, it was. Now it's what, 3 or 4 million, I think is all.
now it's like, yeah, it's gone way down. The thing is, Chemosite laced weaponry used to be a what, a
staple for
double gamble?
DPS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Well, it
double
used to be
gamble.
a double gamble to get it as well. And even on the second part of that gamble, even if you got
Yep.
chemosite laced weaponry, you weren't guaranteed.
Yeah. This second here. Give me a minute here, real quick. Audio issues. Give me a moment here, folks. Having some issues here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, give us a second here, real quick. For whatever reason.
And Kirby got DC'd as well.
Yeah, what the crap? I blame the Yeti here. Okay. What the frick?
I don't know.
Everyone in the stream still hear me? Question is, I don't know if you're hearing it. Let me set that. Let's try this now. Do you hear me now, Chris?
Yeah.
Interesting. But we'll go on. I mean, for whatever reason, its audio is going through my speakers rather than my headphones. Let me see about doing this.
Weird.
Okay, how about now?
Can hear you good still.
I don't hear you. Yeah, by now.
Welcome to the live troubleshooting, folks.
Live troubleshooting. This is how it goes. You know, it's something that's going on. I have to I'll figure this out. I mean, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably end up having a partition that's got a different version of Windows on it for streaming and whatnot. Um, you guys might get some feedback. I do apologize about that. I'm not meaning to because I'm leaving on the speakers, and for whatever reason, speakers being is not playing through the headphone jack like it should be. All right, let's try that. 6-bit. Interesting. That's interesting. So we lost Kirby. She's on satellite, so she might get DC'd that way. Say something now, Chris.
Can you hear me good?
I don't hear anything there. Give me a second. Let's try that. How about now, Chris?
Giggity.
Dang nabbit, I can't hear you. And if I can't hear you, that means they probably can't. All right, we'll go with this. Say something now, Chris.
Chemist, thou hear me now?
I can hear you, and that's the issues. I couldn't hear you, so that means they probably couldn't hear you. Anyways, so we'll just go on here. We'll wait for Kirby. She'll probably rejoin us here later on. If you do get some echo, I do apologize. I blame Microsoft 10 and the Yeti here. But anyways, going on with the Infinity Lockbox. The nice thing about this is it changes the dynamics of everything. It makes it so everything that you wanted to get that was all pure random is more or less a choice once you get the particular box that you're looking for. You needed a console, you get the console box, and you pick your console that you wanted. The thing to remember is those boxes, the consoles, the ship trays, the ground trays, the ships themselves, for the choice of what's inside the box that you get, you have to use it on that character. It is character bound. It's not one of those things. So, and it's nothing to do with the audio cable. I know exactly what's happened here. The drivers for the Yeti stopped being recognized, so it'll take a reboot, and I'm not going to do that right now. So, but this is one of the nice things about it. So they do have a Q&A on that. Will existing lockboxes be updated? Can they still be obtained? No, the contents of the existing retired boxes will not be updated to reflect these changes, and we will no longer allow retired lockboxes to be acquired in game. So all the old ones, like the old Kardashian, Telchiars, those are done. Those are gone. And when new prizes are added, where existing Infinity lockboxes be updated, yes, but they're only updated once when each Infinity event begins anew. So when the next event goes on, then we'll see like the Nakul ships go into that box and be added to it. So for those of you wondering why the Nakul hasn't gone in there, that's why. They only do it at each of the Infinity events now. So, but with that box out of the way, we got to the new box, the Kelvin Timeline box. This has gotten a lot of negative and positive feedback because it is the JJ Trek verse of the Constitution in the Vengeance.
Personally, I think it's going to do great.
It's getting open a lot. I mean, I can't tell you a time when I have not been in game and I haven't seen someone getting a Constitution class box. Honestly.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing. A lot of people aren't thinking of is there's so much going on there. So many people do like it, and it's getting open. It's getting a lot of feedback. Yeah, there might be people that hate JJ Trek, but hey, you know what? This might be the only T6 Constitution you may be getting.
Well, the big thing too is, people have said for years they don't really want a max level original series. Can kind of understand that, especially the timeline that we're in. And no, this may not be the Constitution that people wanted as far as original series, but it's still a Constitution. Of the some 10 million plus parallel universes in Trek, I don't see why JJ Trek couldn't be one of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things when it comes down to it. It is a possibility, and I think I figured out what's going on with my sound. I think my Yeti mic is not working at all for anything when it comes down to it. So I think everything switched over to my webcam mic. Maybe.
Gotta love technology, man.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's some of the things, and you got the JJ Trek uniforms in there as well. The nice, clear, apparent sewing marks for the sleeves and whatnot. And honestly, this is one of the boxes they've done something that's completely different than all the past, where each faction has to open up their own boxes to get specific birds or specific ships. So if you want the Klingon D4, you have to open up on a Klingon. You want the Constitution, you have to open it up on a Fed character. It cannot be like a Romulan Federation because the Romulans have their own T6 bird, which I'll be showing this off a little bit later on, actually. Well, you'll get to see this firsthand, this particular ship. It's quite fun. I enjoy it. So, and then you got the new the uniforms that's in the lobby store. So, some things to look at. Then, of course, they brought in the Vengeance, new weapons. I mean, there's some good stuff in these boxes, really, as far as the things. If you see in the movies, you recognize this weapon here. This is the one that Khan was using to shoot down a bunch of the warbirds from the KDF planet. So nothing did some major damage in that particular storyline. So it's one of the things I want to get and try it sometime and have fun with it. But
it looks like it's a interesting weapon for sure.
Yeah.
I do think one thing we should mention for the people that want to get the stuff from the Constitution or the Vengeance, at least it's the Vengeance, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. You can get that in the low-buy store on a KDF or Romulan tune. It will be $450. You get the trait and the console.
Yes, that's one
you
of
just
the things.
Don't get the ship.
Yeah, it's one of the things that if you're not Federation, you can't get the Vengeance itself on a Romulan or KDF. But you can get the traits and the console from it for 450 Zen. That's one of those things that you have to kind of question: is it worth it for you to get it? And the other thing to take into consideration here, if you want the ship traits from the other ship traits and the consoles from the other ships, you can get those as well. So you can have those sets on that. On my Romulan, I do have both the console packs, and I have one of the ship traits, but I haven't used it and I haven't pulled it out yet. So I've been trying to decide what I want of the traits that there are that's available, but I haven't decided that yet. So that's what some of the things to remember is the ships are bound even with a lobby store, but you can still get the traits from it. So you don't have to level up that ship to get that trait. So it's kind of one of those things that you're switching out usability and whatnot. Now, I think they did a pretty good job on the design of the ship, to be honest here. I mean, they pretty much kept it right in tune with how the ship looked in the movies. At least the J.J. Trek movies, if you're saying.
I think it did the J.J. ships justice this go around.
Yeah.
The Constitution especially.
Yes. Now, one thing I've heard a lot of mention of is people aren't sure where the Tilaru comes from. I can't tell you where that comes from myself. I can tell you one thing, though. It's about time the Romulans had a carrier that they could use.
Absolutely. That's one thing they've definitely been lacking is a good carrier.
Yes, and this is kind of an interesting style of carrier too. And I'll show this off. It's got a 4-2 weapon setup. I want to mention that. So it's like a raider with a full carrier setup as far as weapon layouts.
Well, a rather interesting thing I had heard brought up was someone saying that the rear loadout of the ship wasn't that great, which, yeah, kind of. It is a weird setup, but you still got the traditional 3-3 setup in a way.
Yeah.
What the world?
That's Teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And welcome back, Teacher.
We had an unexpected power outage.
Oh, lovely. So,
yeah.
Shall we do Teacher's Corner so you can, if in case you need to go, you can?
Yeah, Teacher's Corner was actually pretty simple. I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Teacher's Corner was actually pretty simple. I went for the using the summer event item, the costumes, and so I go through how to get them and how to actually use them because a lot of people have a hard time finding them, finding where to use them in the tailor. So I show how to do that.
Okay, that's pretty good. You know, that's one of those things that's kind of necessary. And I had TeamSpeak muted here, so I can change it to a couple things here. But so yeah, you know, there's all sorts of different uniforms that you can get on Risa and whatnot. So it's kind of nice to have those options. And you know, it's one thing to be aware of. There's so much that there is with the Ryzen event, and one thing people are making a lot of comments on is the amount of favors that you got. And I know you mentioned in your notes here that you got the Horgon hunt.
Yes, I did. I got most of mine doing the Horgon hunt, the dance, the races, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I should have got rid of most of the echo because I got my TeamSpeak now on push to talk right now instead of continuous.
Okay.
Continuous available, so that should take care of a good amount of that echo there. But yeah, so that's the nice thing is we got the Teachers Corner here where you can see the different uniforms that's available, what to do, what they look like. Definitely check it out. You know, it's one of those things. There's so much with the Rising event. And it's still going on, even though Agents of Yesterday has come out. So do keep that in mind. You still can do a lot of stuff there. I'm gonna go ahead and
Still plenty of time to get that ship too.
Yes, there's still time to finish it off at least. All right, here. Probably shouldn't use the left control here to do things because that's how I also scroll. So there's a lot of good things with the ships that's come out here. Just to wrap it up, the notes will be in here. You guys have had a couple days of working trying to get them. I have got a hold of the T-Laru. Chris, you got a hold of the Constitution and the Vengeance, if I remember right, correct?
That's correct, actually. I'm kind of saving them for max level for my Agents of Yesterday tune, but from what I've seen so far, they look like they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, so it should be quite fun. I mean, I expect them to operate much like the other ships that's got the exact same turn rate and ship setup and layout. So
I think we've got the original Kirby back.
Made it back on the original, yes.
Woohoo!
There we are.
That works. So these notes are actually these notes are actually the notes that came out. Well, this is for June 30th, so this is not exactly the most recent and up-to-date notes here. Let me get those other notes here real quick. These are like this little quick refresher thing that just occurred, which is just basically a new cool bit there. Here it is. So there's on the 5th. This is would have been Tuesday, where Agents of Yesterday became live, ready to go, ready to use, ready for us to play while we simultaneously did the Rising events. So we had a lot to do, a lot to go on, and this is one of those things. I mean, it's an expansion. There's bugs here. We've already had a bug fix for some of the bugs where some captains not able to continue on after the skip scene got missed or skipped. So
yes,
yeah, it was some of the things. There's some
that
things
was
like that stopped
quite
people.
annoying.
Yeah, so
yeah.
stuff like that that helped out with those items there to make it easier and better. Yeah, that into effect with all the updates. I mean, the notes from Tuesday is this massive. This all the new things that they've released. Then they've released the new Temporal rep items, the Temporal Operative Captain Specialization. And one thing I should point out is the Temporal Officer skills. Now, on Tribble, when we had them and was playing around with them, one thing that I noticed and I took very good happiness out of was that many of the skills enhanced and boosted your haste. Well, when they released them, that got removed.
Unfortunately, sadly, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was one of the things I was loving it so much there. I mean, it was so nice because I was able to make use of that, and because there was on the devices rather than an actual bridge officer skill. Um, the benefit that we are able to do is able to actually use those skills plus your other skills at the same time, so I can have like my reroute 3 going with the other temporal operative skills that enhance boost, so I could end up having like 140 haste. It was sick. But so that's one of the things I kind of figured it would get removed because it was overpowered. It was nice, but it was way overpowered. That would have alone would have been like more than just a power tsunami. That would have just drowned everything as far as DPS world. So that's one of the things there when it comes right down to it. That takes care of the notes. There, like I said, there's another set of notes that came out um, right after, so that it was, like I said, it basically was resolving a few issues that they ran into and some other issues that they had with some of the things. I mean, you got to remember, new expansion, new set of factions, so all the bugs that comes along with that as well is associated and goes on and continues on.
You're going to have issues with any expansion or any major patch like
Yes.
especially something like this. It's very, very rare, if nigh impossible, to release something this massive without something, even if it's just a minor visual glitch going haywire somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yes, this is true.
so
Like, people have noticed that when you get to 2409, it says you're a Delta recruit, and as a Delta recruit,
yes,
it says that a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, so you got things like that. You're gonna have little quirks. I mean, you gotta remember the temporal operative here is basically another way of them doing initiative on the Delta recruit stuff. So, but one of the
Yeah.
things I liked so much about this particular ability is, you remember how we used to have the Miranda ship that we all hated and loathed? Well, that's no longer the ship that you got stuck with for your first 10 levels.
Very true.
This is one of those things. If you didn't like the Miranda, and you wanted something different, you got something different. You got this. What is this? A utility cruise is what they called it. It has beautiful graphics. I mean, I love this way this thing came out and looks here. It looks like a dreadnought there. Yep, exactly what that is. We're sitting right next to one of the dreadnoughts for those who wants to see what it looks like. By comparison, it is huge. So this is.
And if you bought, sorry,
Go ahead.
if you bought the Temporal Agent pack, the special Temporal Agent pack, the full pack, then, and even I think just the starter pack, if I remember rightly, you can level up your first 10 levels with the Constitution class, the original Enterprise.
Yeah, they gave that in both packs, actually.
Okay.
Yes, they did. In fact, that's right here. This
So
one here.
that is fun.
That's this one right here. I had this beforehand. The nice thing is they revamped the graphics on this ship.
Yeah, the original Enterprise that they've got definitely looks a lot sexier since the revamp. Not to mention those
I like
extra
what they did
phasers.
here. It's so nice because it just looks so much better.
Looks a lot sleeker, smoother, just overall a lot better.
Yep, and that's one of the things that's really nice about what they've done is they've gone through. They didn't have to do this, and they went back and they changed the way this looked. And then they gave, if you got the entire temporal pack, you got chips for every level upgrade that there was. Sorry, children coming down when they shouldn't have been coming down. They knew better. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So, yeah, that's the thing I do like is they did go back and they did upgrade the tier 1 Constitution, so it's got a different look. They all the different sounds they've upgraded for the Temporal 2, so they get their own set of sounds, their own set of beam up and beam downs. It's so nice with all the things that they give.
Animations, yes. I thought it was very cool that they paid attention to detail, and when you go to beam up, you flip open the old style communicator and you talk into it, and then you have your own special dematerialization animation. It's very cool. I love it.
You actually have to lower the shields when you're transporting something. Just all of my yes.
Yeah. And then of course Chris's favorite ship that he has here is the Daedalus.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've wanted to fly a Daedalus for close to 10 years now, and STO is actually the first game that I know of that's let me do that. So fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean these ships look great. I mean they got enough shine on them so you can actually see the sun or any sort of light that just glaring off of them and whatnot. So and I'm only showing you like these ones here. There's the other ones where you got the you got the Nautilus that goes along with this. It has a little bit different style and look to it. And each of the builds they have here is just builds I've been having fun with, so don't worry about those. All Mark 2 still yet. Yeah, Neil is pointing out that the sound effects is actually changed too.
Yes, many 23rd century sounds. They put a lot of detail in here, and I'm very happy with that.
I think they had to because they kind of had people watching over their shoulders.
Well, even then,
Yeah.
you've got some other cool effects. Like if you notice the tactical team for the 23rd century effect now, it actually makes the little beam-in noise as they're actually beaming tactical teams to different parts of the ship.
Yep.
So
that's
stuff
funny.
like that. Different animations for actually even Fire at Will. I think it was different for a few cases.
Yep. And so I'm showing you really what these ships are what they look like with the tier 3 version. They got if you got the tier 3 or the different tiers, and then you got the tier 5s and 6s, those costumes can be interchanged with the temporal packs, so you can actually use those back and forth.
Yes.
So that's something to remember.
Yes, and they even did. They even made 23rd century versions of different bridge officer abilities, like the TAC team and the Fire at Will. There are some ground ones, and it is important to note there is one specific ground one for engineers you cannot get in the 26th century. And if you don't get it before you leave the 23rd century, you cannot go back and get it. They are character bind on pickup. And that's the photonic grenade launcher. It's a nice little ensign ability for engineers. The 26th century, or 25th century, does not have anything comparable for that ensign slot. So if you are a ground pounder with an engineer that wants something nice and offensive, similar to a quantum mortar, pick it up in the 23rd century on that tune before you leave. You can apply it to 25th century bridge officers, but you have to buy it before you leave the 23rd century.
So stack up a bunch of them.
Yes.
But I know I really like how these ships just came out and looked like they. I mean, they look like the actual series when you looked at them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the true like 4-digit numbers that you can actually go with on these ships too. Now there was one thing I did notice with the Tier 5 ship, which is showing up right now, is the Tier 5 ship actually doesn't have a option to upgrade it to a Tier 5 unit.
That face.
Interesting.
So, like looking here at the Tier 5, there's no upgrade option to go into a Tier 5U. The only thing I can't say and don't know is if that was by intention or if that is a bug for Chris here to report in.
I can see that going both ways, actually. The argument could be made that as far as for the Tier 6 Ranger, if they could get a T5U version, which is just as comparable minus the specialized seating, why spend the extra cash? On the other hand, since it is a T5, then also a C-Store ship, the argument could be made as well that it's a bug because all the other T5 C-Store ships can upgrade. So it can kind of go both ways, actually, I think.
Yeah, it's one of these we'll check into and see what we can find out about that, if that was by intention or if that is a particular mistake that they unintentionally made here. Because it is, because when you look at in the store here, you look at Tier 5, you'll find it in the store here somewhere. It's going to be right there. So it shows up as a Tier 5 ship, but it doesn't have the upgrade. So that's one of these we'll find out, see what we can find about this particular issue, if it is indeed a bug or whatnot. We'll get it submitted in and done quarterly. You know, it would have been kind of nice if they would have had like a better ship to play this. And here we are coming into the 31st century ships now. These ships are a little bit different, and they're quite a bit bigger as well. So the good thing about these particular 31st century ships here, for those who are wanting to get ships that is usable on all factions and not wanting to go to a lockbox, here is your first C-Store universal ship.
And if you're a Temporal ship collector, then these are not bad ships to add to your collection as well.
Yes, very true.
And they're decent size too. So that's
they are, and there's some interesting temporal abilities, especially if you're a science tune. You may want to look into these, or if you like using science, you may want to look into some of these. I can't say more yet.
Yeah, they're so much fun. And going on to the next one, our ship number 7, which is our Tier 6 multi-mission ship that's been asked about. People have been wanting some multi-mission science ships. Once again, these ships are pretty good size. This is as part of the Temporal ships that you can use on each of the factions. And the other good thing that you do with these is, for those who like the PvP, you can say 31st century only ships, you have to use this particular ship, and you know everyone can get it for any faction regardless, because it's just a C-Store ship. So that's the other nice thing is for those who like to be in PvP leagues, you can tell people they need to be using these for PvP matches that you set up in particular. So they do have some interesting, well, I should say interesting. They've got the typical layouts that you would expect on these ships, like a 5-3-3 basically is each one of them. And we get to the last ship here. That's from the Temporal ship pack here. At least so that is the Raider here. The Raider here's got a 4-2 setup with a 5-3 layout. And these are beautiful ships. I have to say these are very nice little ships here, and they all are fun to play. It's kind of nice too. I can make one layout and use it on any captain now. Another nice thing about the Raider here, this is the first Federation form of a bird of prey, basically. The only difference is the bird of prey has another weapon that this one doesn't. In this one, yeah, it does kind of look like a bat. So that happens to be these ships from the Temporal pack here. We're just going to move on. I'm going to switch characters in the meantime. Chris, what do you got for us in the bug corner?
Oh, got a few interesting ones this go around. As Kirby already alluded to one of them earlier, is the issue where it's a minor audio thing, where it considers us Delta recruits still. I know a few people have pointed that one out. Then a rather interesting one is the Bavat sex change that people were talking about. Where it uses a Klingon female for the animation, and some people have said voice as well, some people have said otherwise, so I've heard two versions of that. Then another good one is Admiral Quinn using the KDF audio for the, forget which mission it is exactly, but I think it's, no, actually, I take that back. It's one of the rank ups that you can get. He uses the KDF audio for that. As far as technical stuff, there, if you're trying to clear any keybinds, they are aware of the issue with that. So, I would say as well, as far as bug fixes go, that's the major ones that I could think of off the top of my head, but as far as bug fixes go, now that they've got the expansion out, I would say start looking for a lot more fixes to come in the near future. Also, the last big one as well that was actually fixed this last go around was the one where the cutscene sometimes would not display and you'd get stuck on the bridge, that stuff. If that still goes on, please report that, as that's a major thing.
Yeah, that's a game stopper. That's one of those things you got to be aware of. Game stopper right there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see bugs, by all means report them and everything. That's just the ones that I know of. I'm sure there's probably more out there. But I would say start looking for a lot of fixes going forward, now that they've got the major release out of the way. That's one less headache for them to deal with.
Yep.
I did have a question for you. It was brought up on the Continuum server yesterday about the Nautilus console. It says it's able to be equipped on all Temporal science ships, yet you can't equip it on the Temporal multi-mission science ship. You can't equip it on like, say, a Wells class or whatnot. And those are, in their description, Temporal science ships. So we were wondering if that was working as intended, or if that was just a poor choice of wording on their part. What's the deal? Do you know? Can you find out?
That's one of those things I'm probably going to have to ask about, because
yeah,
I could see, again, it's one of those things I could see going both ways. Because on the one hand, it could be made the argument, you know, the Wells, the Paradox, stuff like that, they're Temporal ships, But at the same time,
They're
somebody could say,
labeled that way.
well, yeah. Somebody could say as well,
Yeah.
well, it's only referencing the temporal ships that come from the pack, so it's one of those things we're going to need clarification on.
Right. Yeah, so I figured I would pass that along to you. I told him I would pass that along. So if you're curious, we will find out. It has been passed on to the bug hunter.
And that happened just now. Anything else you get there, Chris? Is that it?
That's pretty much it for me this week.
Alrighty. So we'll go into the last bit here, which is my bit here with the ship review here. As you can see, I'm showing you off here the nice little Chilaru for the Romulan faction here. This is one that I got a hold of that I managed to get here when I opened up a bunch of keys here. And like we said earlier, for those who are Romulan who always have wanted a full-on dreadnought, here it is. This is a dreadnought that's got the intel abilities, in fact. Yeah, I mean, you got the gather intel, and you can do the weapon, the defenses, and then the critical systems here. Plus, having a full commander science with intel seating on it.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh.
Which means, as people can see in my setup here, I have OSS3 with Gravity Well. Yes, I have done
evil things.
Oh, I took this bird and I soloed Starbase 24 without too much hassle and only died like 2 or 3 times. So, but this is nice because if you're used to like the Romulan Warbird that has about the same turn as that, it gets up to about 16.
Okay.
So it's not too bad on the turn, you know. It's really good in that. So for me, I'm able to fly the Romulan pretty well. So I'm used to that. But it turns quite nice. It's not too terribly bad. It is a carrier. It is a good sized ship. So do take that into account when you're trying to do things like turning. It still will take a little bit to turn. But, you know, overall, I mean, this is a very capable ship of doing just about anything you want it to do. So that is this ship here. It's quite fun. I enjoy it. It's probably going to become a new normal for me. So.
Awesome.
Finally got him out of the scimitar, folks.
There is only a few ships I have been able to do that with me, and this would be one of them. This really is one of those ships that can do that. And for those who are curious, the console that comes with this is the mining drill console. Like I said, I was able to get the 2 of the ship packs. The only one I'm missing right now is the broadside emitter, which comes from the Vengeance, which is 130 some million to get that trait itself, which is not exactly the cheapest thing.
Or I believe, what was it, 450 Lobi?
Yeah, 450 Lobi. Yeah. So
yes.
The nice thing is it has some pretty decent set bonuses here. I mean, it's in a 2-piece set here, kinetic and phaser damage bonus here on this particular setup. The 3-piece has physical damage resistance and kinetic damage resistance for you tanks out there. Plus, incoming healing increased by 0 to 50%. Increases as hull decreases, one of those effects. And then the timeline resonance, which is a 50% recharge speed for all Kelvin universal consoles. So each of the consoles now get half reduction on the cooldowns for them. And if you use the mind drill for a good duration, it's got a quick cooldown as it is for that. So it was quite nice in that behalf. At least the longer it does damage, I should say. The more it does damage, the shorter the cooldown is for it. But they got some pretty interesting passive bonuses here on these consoles, to be honest. So, but that is the set here. I definitely recommend it. It is quite fun to play with it and to enjoy it. This ship is definitely capable of doing almost anything you want to do, really. I mean, it's very versatile. It's got a lieutenant commander and 2 lieutenant universal spots. Oh, correction. It's got 1 universal lieutenant and 1 lieutenant commander universal. So, but it's still very versatile what you can make this ship do for
you. Nice.
So there it is. There's that. That is the end of the show. Timber didn't send me a link for any budget builds here, but I can assure you that some of the new consoles and stuff that's come out from the new episodes will be in some of those budget builds in the future, because there's some pretty good stuff there, especially for tanks in particular.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, there's one trait, there's one console that's very nice that you can get. That's a free. You just do the mission, you got it. So, anyways, that is it. That's the show today, folks. Definitely appreciate you tuning in and watching, and bearing with the audio issue sound going on. And I probably sound like I stepped back in time as I went from the Yeti over to my webcam mic, just that quick. And yeah, I got plans on how I'm going to fix that, so it doesn't come. Hopefully, it doesn't come up again. I think I know exactly what's going to be the issue here and the fix for this issue. So, anyways, we'll see you later. We'll be back on next week once again, and make sure to join us when we go to Las Vegas. We'll be there. At least 3 of the 4 of us will be there in person, so you get to see all of us side by side, minus Chris here, putting the guilt on.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Yes, and I had to go out and I had to go buy a couple of new monitors just to make sure I had some monitors that's nice for you guys when you come by the booth to look at, so you're not looking at crap. And one other thing that I want to make sure to point out here. There we go. Added these lights onto my computer just for add some bling for the Vegas show.
Nice.
Well, to give you an idea, the lights are completely customizable. I mean, I can... right now I got like a blue and white light, I think it is. The Vegas show will probably...
See, and that's why my power went out. It was powering his lights.
He turned it into a warp core. That's what he did. He turned it into a warp core.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it like this, or if I might add some color, because I got a full color spectrum I can run on this. So it's going to be fun. I wish these ones would change color when I go into red alert. Unfortunately, they don't. I wish they would change. I wish this particular software had a module layout so I can actually tell it to work with Star Trek Online. So when I'm on my Romulan, it does a green color. When I'm on my KDF, it goes to red, and then Federation blue with this little red alert. Yeah, I don't know if it'll go with the Chroma's SDK. That's one of the things that's not made by Razer. So, made by a different company. I don't think they like to let their stuff get used like that. Anyway, so that is that. We'll have that.
Yeah.
It'll be in full color spectrum probably when we go to the show, just to kind of add a little bling to things. I mean, grab you guys' attention there so you know we're there. It'd be the big black computer that's multicolored. So, anyways, thank you very much for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have Timber on next week to join us for the show next week. Y'all have fun. Enjoy the time playing your Agents of Yesterday. There's plenty of time yet to start a new character if you haven't already. And plenty of time to get a bunch of marks for your Vorgon ship too, by the way.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, if you are turning over birds and monkeys, the new temporal agent marks or temporal marks
Yep.
are available on Ryza.
Definitely. So if you need temporal marks, that's a way to do it. I would definitely get on there and crack in on that, because that is a great way to get marks very fast, especially if you're doing it, because you can keep those going for birds and monkeys.
Yes, exactly.
Day after day, and you can build up a good 500, 600 at the very minimum.
625 marks is the magic number with a sponsorship token. It's 1,225 without a token.
Yeah, so you at least get halfway there at the very worst. So, anyways, y'all have a good day. Enjoy your time. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Take it easy.